Yo, family, what is good? Welcome back to another daily live stream where we have got some huge news for better and for worse for the markets. We spoke about a little bit of this yesterday about potential shortfalls in the market. As we are now Monday market open, we can see Bitcoin is down now 4.22%, ETH down almost 5%, Casper down 2% on the daily time frame. We'll talk about that more throughout this stream, and also what you need to look out for to navigate this week's volatility and momentum. It's exactly what we spoke about in our VIP earlier today. The three main developments, three or even two or three main developments you need to keep an eye on so you know how to navigate this week and ultimately what's going to come off the back of that as well. If you want to find out more, stay up to date in real time as well and even more in tuned, check out the VIP. You know where they are. Links down below in the description. 7-day free trial right here and now if you sign up when you can. But also in today's stream, we're talking about Casper, as we tend to normally do. We do talk about other cryptos as well, of course. But we do talk about Casper predominantly, and we've got some huge updates for Casper, namely from Igra Labs, where Igra Labs have confirmed they are officially going live, Genesis block, very soon, I believe on Thursday. We'll get to that as well. Very exciting stuff. The full mainnet won't be out just yet. That's still going to be coming in March. But the fact of the matter is, Igra Labs are at that penultimate, that final step before we see the mainnet launch, and we can then have a second layer 2 on Casper. Got Casplex, then Igra, and then we start seeing the programmability of Casper scale up, adoption will hopefully start scaling up, and thus, not immediately, of course, especially if the market is down. But in time, when the market recovers, Casper will start to scale up, price will hopefully start going up, and then we will know that we are right in our conviction. Welcome back to the stream, family. You're doing very well today. This fine Monday, we've got a lot to talk about in today's stream. So to start off with straight away, go to welcome back my man, YouTube Rizzy as well, Double D and Lau, all the OGs back in the chat, and everyone else tuning in, watching behind the scenes. Hope you're having a great day as well. To start off with, we got this post here from Trump. Trump says the Supreme Court tariff ruling has reaffirmed that he does not need Congress approval for his tariffs. That is wrong and right. Bottom line is, Trump has gone down a different route for the tariffs due to the Supreme Court making the tariffs he had issued as illegal. So he's gone down a different route. This different route gives Trump the legal authority to issue these tariffs for 150 days, and then Congress have to decide whether they extend it or not. But to my knowledge, Congress cannot revert these tariffs until the deadline's up. But Trump, come 150 days past, so therefore going into July, once that deadline's up, Trump doesn't have the legal authority. The Constitution does not let him continue these tariffs. It's up to Congress to deem them as worthwhile or not. So, I mean, we know Trump wants the tariffs. We know that Trump is very adamant on that front. So what will happen close to the time, we'll have to keep a close eye on right now. But I wanted to get that point out of the way for anyone who's reading that and saying that Trump has the authority. No, he legally doesn't. Under the Constitution, he does not. Right now, he can for 150 days. After that timeline's done, Congress has to be the one to approve an extension. Why am I talking about tariffs? Because unfortunately, it's the noise, but it's the news right now. And the tariffs that have been implemented has caused this current negative sentiment in the market. Even the S&P is down 1% right now. You know, S&P is down right now. Even the dollar, the DYX, which is funny because, funnily enough, dollar should start to rally a little bit with tariffs because tariffs tend to, favor a stronger dollar. But we're not really seeing that capital coming to the dollar right now. It's actually, unsurprisingly, going back into gold. Currently at 5.2, about to make a new all-time high in gold. Silver, again, is rallying up. Once more telling us where the sentiment lies. What I'm going to cover now for the next maybe 10 minutes or so is the exact breakdown that I showcased and posted the articles and sources to my VIPs a little while ago. This first document here comes from Joshua Mahoney. Tariff shakeup hits the United Kingdom. The bottom line is right now, there are a number of repercussions that come from these tariffs that Trump has now enforced. Due to the new development, the Section 122 tariffs that he has implemented, he's now put a flat 10 and now increased to 15% tariffs across the globe right now. Which does mean that some nations are going to benefit from that because they had higher tariffs, and then some other ones are going to end up getting hindered by that, mainly the EU and the UK. You can see the EU has threatened to freeze US trade deals because of the new tariffs that Trump had implemented, which obviously is not ideal at all. And Trump has rebutted with that, saying that any countries who want to play games with the ridiculous Supreme Court decision, even those that have ripped off the USA for years and even decades, will be met with much higher tariffs. So you can clarify and name it however you want to. Bottom line is, Trump is saying, if you don't want my tariffs, tough. If you try to play games with it, I'm going to put higher tariffs on you, so don't play with me. It's the bully tactic again. We've seen it 100%. We've seen it many times before. This shouldn't be news to us, but this is ultimately going to increase tension, increase trade war concerns, and thus cause more uncertainty and more downward price action in the markets. But the EU's being affected by this, and they're trying to fight fire with fire, which they've lost, or they've come to negotiation of sorts time and time again. It's the noise short term to then hopefully see a resolution later on as well. And equally, the UK is struggling here as well. We can see a mixed start in Europe, with a new week bringing fresh tariff rates after the Supreme Court struck down the old IEEPA EPA regime. This comes to a detriment of the UK in particular, eradicating the beneficial position of negotiating against a backdrop of a trade deficit with the United States. For the FTSE 100, the one particular area of strength comes from the miners, with precious metals names, these two here, leading in the way as gold hits a 3-week high on Iran and tariff uncertainty. Whether we start seeing a fresh tit-for-tat move from nations such as the UK remains to be seen. Right now, there's been no rebuttal from the UK, but it is entirely possible we see that, as right now the UK suffers the highest increase in average tariff rates than any other country in the world. No longer does it look like a targeted policy to fixing unfair system in the United States, which is what the old tariffs effectively were. It now just looks like basically a blanket tax aimed to, replicate the income from the old tariffs. Because of the old tariffs not being denied as illegal, Trump just said, okay, flat tariffs, and everybody give us the money that we should be getting back anyways. But it's not targeted at nations who apparently are taking advantage of the United States. It's going to cause another, as I put it in my community, these new tariffs basically just cause a complete factory reset of trade war. So we are back to stage 1 again, unfortunately. So we've got to keep that in mind and be prepared for more trade war, more volatility, and more downward price action, thus seeing potentially higher prices going into gold and your safe havens, and especially oil, if we start seeing an escalation in the Middle East, which is what we're seeing right now. Apparently, Trump's ordered an attack on Iran, and it could be much broader, and the consequences remain uncertain. We'll have to wait and see. To our knowledge as well, this is what's going to make Thursday very important, because apparently the United States are meeting with Iran in Geneva on Thursday to negotiate and try to come to a diplomatic solution. If there is no solution, which I believe Iran are very much pushing for this right now, they want to get a solution. Of course, that is not completely unfavorable to them. But if we do not get a solution, then ultimately I perceive there could potentially be some warfare, thus oil skyrocketing. Currently, there is the thesis it will go down to $71 a barrel, I think is what some of these sources have suggested. So we've got to keep an eye on that as well. Of course, we can see gold is rallying. Gold has actually now made that significant push to the point where the support for gold, or the level that was tough for it to break, was here at 5.1k, and now that's become a support level for gold. So as you can see here on the number of times that gold did touch this level and get rejected, is now made a definitive push above that today. So it means that gold could potentially be running for a new all-time high again, which is not ideal. Very much supporting the risk off sentiment and the critical volatile times we're in right now. And then we also got that, we'll come to probably at the end of the video. And we also got this as well, another one of the sources we spoke about earlier in the VIP, talking about Nvidia and about their earnings. As we quote here, Nvidia releases its results for the last quarter on 25th of February, on Wednesday, after the market closes. The market is expecting another monster report as Nvidia continues to benefit from AI hyperscalers and their extended capex spending binge. Revenues are expected to come in at 65.8 billion, with net income at 37.4 billion, which is a significant uplift from the 57 billion revenue report the prior quarter. Go on and so on for here. Bottom line is, family, and once more, if you want to get the kind of more concise, structured rundown, it's not a long rundown. You can see here, it's quite a short post, but just get very, bullet point, easy to read, and you get access to the sources yourself as well right here. Bottom line is, right now, we have to be very, very cautious of the sentiment. It went from being a defensive positioning for the last couple of weeks, now one of institutions and investors positioning for volatility in namely the sectors regarding AI, gold because of geopolitical tensions, and tariffs. Got to keep a very close eye on potential tariff trade wars that will cause headwinds in the market, especially in risk on, potential scaling up in war, which we'll find out by Thursday if we see an escalation or negotiations and therefore alleviated, which we can only hope is the case. And then we have Nvidia, which Nvidia report is on Wednesday. Nvidia report is very important for us as investors for crypto because Nvidia's report is namely about AI, and AI and crypto go hand in hand. So ultimately, Nvidia's earnings report this week will confirm and or deny, depending on whether they beat it or not, whether AI and crypto will have its own super cycle this year, and that can inevitably withstand the geopolitical and macro headwinds and headlines, or not. So Wednesday is crucially important. Thursday is also very important as well for the war and the Geneva negotiations, but for me, Wednesday is probably the most important for the short term, and that is what we're keeping our closest eye on in the VIPs. You want to know more if you wanted to partake in the short trades we had set up. We spoke about it in our executive roundtable yesterday. We even posted it to the members here, so members had an opportunity to watch this as well yesterday. We spoke about the strong possibility of seeing a short trade when the market's open today, and lo and behold, look at us now, down 4% in Bitcoin, down 5% in Ethereum, down almost 5% in Solana. Markets are down across the board. So we were able to make benefits and make gains on these trades on the markets. Despite the bad prices, we still continue to make money. So if you want to find out more, level up your game, get ahead of the markets, come learn more here in the VIP, whop.com/coinfactory. Signing up right now, you can get a 7-day free trial and join the like-minded individuals here who are actively learning more and making gains at the same time, getting ahead of the market before they get ahead of you. With that being said, that was me watching that off very, very quickly, just firing that off. We can now get into some questions and then get into the big posts in regards of this post here, which will come at the very end, but more importantly, these big posts from Casper's side of things. So, welcome back. Rizzy says here, bears from Mexico taking us hostages. Are you taking US hostages? I be honest, I've not heard of that. That's not in my timeline, not in my feed. If that is happening, then yes, that is not good at all. And we should definitely be bearish on that without better choice of words. We're in a crazy time right now. It's kind of my ending statement of that. Right now, it's just pandemonium everywhere. There's so much news, tsunami, headline crisis going on. It's not right. It's not right at all. I don't think that's going to necessarily affect markets if we think about it from an investor side of thing. But as a headline in itself, it's not good. Not good at all. I don't like it. Good evening, Grezzo, my man, who's doing very, very well. And you too, Nessie. Hi, Jay. I'm still watching it with a lot of interest every day. Yesterday, I placed a limit order of 100,000 Casper at 0.015. Do you think I'll hit a jackpot? Thank you very much for your kind word, brother, and your continuous interest in my streams and content. To answer your question, it's not impossible. It very much depends, once more, on the short-term developments. We spoke about them just now. Stuff we spoke about in my VIP earlier. War, trade war, so tariff, trade war, physical warfare with Iran and US, and Nvidia. These are going to be the three catalysts this week and in the short-term foreseeable future that will determine whether we go down or not. Bitcoin is currently at 64k. We saw Bitcoin bottom at the beginning of February at 60k. If we go to 60k again, we could very well see Casper. Right now, Casper is at a critical support level here of around 0.029, give or take. We're currently in and around the support zone right here. If we lose or finish today's trading day below the support band here, we'll likely see Casper retrace back down to 2.6, 2.5 down here again. And then we'll see hopefully it finds support or not. Of course, time will tell. Ultimately, if Bitcoin comes back to 60k, I think this is very possible for Casper. If Bitcoin loses 60k, we'll see Casper likely come down to these zones here of 2.2, which is based on the supports we see all the way back here, back in 2023. And once more, further Bitcoin corrections will cause Casper to come down further. We spoke about it last time, I believe. 2 cents is very much a critical level for Casper as well, just from a psychological point, the actual round number of 2 cents. So Casper could very well find support here. Will we therefore fill the 1.5 cents you're talking about, or 0.015? That would put us in this band here, which is the bottom, pretty much the bottom of the support band I have here. That I can't. There definitely are lower levels should the worst case happen, but I've not drawn them out right now because I'm not banking on the worst case scenario. I'm just banking on the possibilities right now that are in front of us. So 1.5 cents Casper is definitely possible based on what we've seen here. This is definitely a level of support for Casper as well. So will that fill? Tough to say. It's tough to say right now because there is, we are very much analyzing both sides of the coin. You've got three developments. Nvidia, if the reports are bad, you'll likely see Casper come back down with AI belief and just a general fuzz storm growing. So if Nvidia misses their report earnings, you'll see likely a pullback. If you see a war breakout, you'll see more pullback. If you see a trade war breakout, you'll see more pullbacks. Alternatively, if you don't see any of the developments come through, you won't see, in my belief, not financial wise, of course, you won't see Casper come back down that far. I do think we can still see Casper come back down to here in the short term, because Bitcoin is showing a lot of weakness right now. So I think we could see Casper coming down to here. And if we do, are we looking very, very closely at the developments we just spoke about? If you see some reassuring reports like Nvidia printing green and trade war averted, all that sort of stuff, I'll be setting up a long trade for Casper, most likely, just to see if we can make a small gain. Make a small gain on Casper, probably in and around going here, with some leverage, maybe going back up to here, and the bottom here being around here. That would be my level, but not a high ratio or anything like that. Might even do it a little bit more, but 1 to 2, something around here. And then just put some leverage on it and then get in, get out. That would be my plan if we do see developments go that way. If not, we've currently got some short trades set up and making gains off that as well, so we'll have to wait and see, of course. So to answer your question, I hope you hit the jackpot. I hope you do. It's not impossible. Welcome back, Go Superman. You did very well. I think I already said that though. April/May. If that's in respect of when we see the markets return, it's not a bad shout, considering that we have heard some interviews from certain people saying that one of the big developments for crypto, like this here, market structure bill, will hopefully be passed through the courts of law through Congress by April. If that happens, then fantastic, and you'll likely see, I wouldn't think a god candle by any means, we might start seeing investments come into crypto again. Because Clarity Act's a very, very big catalyst. We spoke about that yesterday as well in our executive roundtable, where we spoke about the documentation from JP Morgan, from KPMG, one of the big four accounting firms, from Rothschild, the most wealthy family in the world that kind of runs the entire economy. And all of them are talking about these certain catalysts that are going to help push these markets back up at them. The key one being regulations, which is the Clarity Act. So if this passes through, then maybe by April, May, then yes, we will see likely a big, big rally. You know, I'll get to the post right here and now, actually, as we are on this topic anyways. We can see here from Eleanor Terrett here. The White House says it's getting closer to breaking one of the biggest log jams holding up legislation on crypto, which is whether firms for crypto should be allowed to offer stablecoin rewards. We know the banks very much are saying no on that front. Crypto firms are saying we should be allowed. That's currently the reason why we're not seeing any progression right now, which, as we see, apparently according to Patrick Witt, the White House Crypto Council Executive Director, the gap between the two sides has shrunk considerably after last week's closed-door meeting between crypto and bank representatives. At the center of the debate is whether crypto firms can offer rewards tied to stablecoin usage. Banks fear such rewards could trigger deposit outflows and create risk of traditional financial systems, which, spoiler alert, the system for TradFi is dead. That's why they're coming to crypto in the first place. Crypto companies are arguing overly restrictive rules would stifle innovation and give incumbents an unfair advantage, which is completely true. From my perspective, banks are pushing their weight about saying, we've run this system for so long, we know how we make our money, we want to continue doing that in a better market being crypto where things are 24/7 so they can make even more rewards and it's faster as well. The ability to generate yield on stablecoins or is from crypto, DeFi, from where it was in TradFi is like night and day. You make so much more money from that aspect because it's 24/7 and it's 365 and it's a lot faster. And it's a lot easier to access as well. All these things that make it beneficial. Banks know that and they're like, okay, well, we want to get those rewards for ourselves, but we know we haven't got the infrastructure and the tech to compete with fintech. So we want to just stop you from getting those rewards and let us take it instead. Bottom line is banks are going to have to adopt crypto tech and probably buy up these firms or partner with them in some aspect to create these rewards, because they're not going to be able to compete with the tech. And they're trying to stifle it right now. I'm hoping this won't go through, but honestly, right now, we can't say for sure what the verdict will be. Banks have been holding strong for a long time. Maybe crypto, fintech are starting to be a little bit more lenient in this front. We have Coinbase there, Ripple there. We have many other well-known crypto firms also in there as well. The White House has been currently leading the meeting instead of just kind of holding it in a room. They've been now saying, okay, we're going to lead these meetings right now. We'll have to see what happens ultimately. As it stands right now, I think they're starting to lean a bit more towards supporting off banks and getting them what they want, which I don't want, to be honest, but we'll have to wait and see. Bottom line is, this bill hopefully will be passed in favor for crypto, and passing it in general will start triggering more institutional investment into the space. So if this comes through by May, April, that we've been hearing from certain CEOs like Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, he said 90% chance of that happening. If that happens, then we could see a short squeeze in the market at that time, not a significant God candle. And then maybe going toward the latter half of the year, you start seeing that liquidity come back into the market significantly, with many more regulations coming out. You've got MiCA coming out in June this year. You've got the Genius Act stablecoin bill in America coming out in 2027, January. Similarly, in the UK, they've got regulations coming out in 2027. So you'll start seeing that capital coming a lot quicker, just ahead of the regulatory frameworks being implemented. This is my personal belief. We're going to see the gold and silver climb again. Not good for us. Patience. Yeah, I very much believe so. There's so much uncertainty, and what's happening right now is not going to be reassuring for anybody. The fact that we are seeing tariffs come in and that's not benefiting DYX dollar is proof of the current sentiment in the market. All intents and purposes, with tariffs coming in, the dollar should be performing a lot better. It's not moving much today, but it's not performing. It's going towards gold, because right now people are not happy with how the economy is functioning. They're not confident in Trump. That's the bottom line. They are not confident in Trump's current antics, for a better choice of words. They don't know what's going to happen next. If there's going to be another increase in tariffs by tomorrow, which, considering this message here, it's very possible. And thus people are not confident in the dollar, in the American economy, so they're going to gold as a safe haven bet, which is why gold is rallying again. And I do think we can see an all-time high in gold, very, very possible, in the next couple of weeks, honestly, depending on these developments: tariff, war, Nvidia. If Nvidia misses, gold's going to explode, no doubt about it. So we can only pray Nvidia does not miss, because if it does, that also will very much hinder crypto's time for when it's going to start rallying this year, in my belief. Welcome back, Eric. I sold all my Bitcoin for Casper, going to be rich or broke and not selling for at least 10 years. Good to hear, my man. And I think in 10 years, I would like to believe, based on my belief, that we will all be rich in 10 years with Casper. 10 years time, Casper should be like night and day. 3 cents right now, unbelievably dirt cheap, in my belief. Of course, not financial advice, but given what we're going to be seeing in the next 10 years from now, we're talking 2036. I've got so much enterprise, premium insights, institutional documents, stuff that I posted in my VIP, some that I've also posted publicly, documents here. I'm going to see if I can find one on my Twitter page right now as I'm scrolling through. But it's got so many documents that I've spoken about, which all say very similar things. Like this one here, for example, from BNY Mellon, quoting McKinsey here, where they talk about how the estimated investment needed through to 2040 for this whole global financial reset is up to $106 trillion needed. That is ridiculous. Ridiculous. So if you think about that, you're talking about 10 to 15 years from now, that's sort of capital needed to invest. How much is going to boost these markets? In theory, just having a, 10% of that is 10 trillion. That in itself, 10 trillion comes to crypto. Just for example, we're currently sitting at a 2.4 trillion market cap. That's a 6x in crypto possible in 15 years. That in itself would do wonders, especially for, by that point, a lot of the rubbish cryptos will be gone to zero because they offer nothing. People are running on top of crypto. Casper, for me, will survive that and prove itself as the ultimate sequencer. There'll be other projects as well that perform very well. Just Casper's currently my biggest conviction. I really hope Tangent integrates NFTs soon. Yeah, I remember you asking me, Lau. I haven't yet reached out to Tangent. I've been waiting still for one particular message, because I do have a video I plan to release for Tangent. And then once I do, I'll ask about the NFTs on your behalf. I'm sure that is in their pipeline. I'm just not sure how high up it is right now. but I'll make sure to reach out to them on your behalf this week if I can. American tourist captured at airport. Mexican embassy responds to Macho's killing. Highly doubtful. I mean, again, that's first I've heard of it. Bottom line is I don't like it. I mean, who would? It's not good to hear. But I think that's also very much a kind of a reflection of the current system and economy and everything we're in right now. It's just no one's happy. Crazy stuff's going on all the time. Hopefully it will calm down, but I'll be honest, I think it gets worse before it gets better. No one's happy. Nobody's happy. Only people that are happy right now are the billionaires. So the system that we've currently created, the system that's been created for us is one run by billionaires. That's all it is. Our only hope is to find the investments that are going to alleviate and fix that, which is why we hold Casper. Highly doubtful Casper will lower below 2 cents. We are in bedrock. Whoever would have sold has certainly done so. Yeah, but you've got to remember, it's not necessarily people selling right now. Look at Caspalytics. Caspalytics here gives you an indication on what Casper wallets are selling. And you can see the inactive supply, 3 months, hasn't moved. It's nearing all-time highs pretty much. 6 months, come down a little bit recently, but still nearing all-time highs. 1 year all-time highs, 2 year all-time highs. It's not a reflection of people selling, so much so, it's a reflection of the exchanges and their APIs just reflecting what value they perceive Casper to be valued at, which is not necessarily accurate because they can manipulate those numbers. We've seen that with Binance. They manipulate the numbers all the time. So Casper could go below 2 cents because the exchanges want people to think that it's going to go to zero, that is crap, and thus they'll scoop up more. You look at Wallet 1. We don't know who Wallet 1 is still, but Wallet 1 is continuing to scoop up more and more and more Casper, closing to 5 million right now. They've scooped up 14 million again today. They're close to 5% of the supply, got 1.36 billion. So we could go below 2 cents. It really much just depends on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes to 50k, I think we go below 2 cents. If Bitcoin holds around 60k or even maybe 56, 58k, then Casper might very well hold in the zone here of 2.2 to 2 cents. But it depends on Bitcoin. We are still very much in a Bitcoin dominant market. So while we have a belief in Casper, got to remember this is currently what drives markets. Bitcoin dominance proves that Bitcoin is the leading factor for the markets, and then geopolitics and macroeconomics and these tariff headlines. This is what currently drives market sentiment. So we can't think about it from a perspective of Casper should be able to hold this because of X, Y, and Z. You've got to think what catalyst would cause Casper to do X, Y, and Z, and what will drive the markets, which is geopolitics, tariffs, and Bitcoin, and AI, namely Nvidia right now. Welcome Darwin. Hi, regarding the KRI announcement, do you really think they can pull it off? Yes. What are they claiming? Can you find any solid info from Roy's background on the internet? Well, KRI are an institutional body, private investment company. There's only so much they can or are willing to show to the public. Now, be that as it may, there are hundreds and thousands of companies out there, big institutions who equally do things privately, and they don't show it to the public, yet they're still successful, and they still do as they say. Now, whether it's a case of Roy and KRI pulling through based on their word is completely down to whether you believe it or not. I believe it. I very much believe it because I have seen and read through articles from institutions. The information that I post to my VIPs, for example, constantly go through these documentation and reports and stuff that these JP Morgans and Deloitte's and these Wells Fargo's, all these institutions go through. We can see on the KRI here, excited to share some more info on one of our favorite projects, Olive Chain, a tree to bottle provenance system built on Casper block DAG, for forward proof olive oil supply chains. Dive details here. You can see I've zoomed in a little bit. The tree to bottle cryptographic provenance for olive oil on Casper. Tree registration, harvest per crates, transport to mill, cold press at the mill, lab analysis, bottle and QR, and then customer verify. This is based off, this here is important, and I made this post here based on an article that was posted from the EU recently talking about how there's been recognition by auditors that the quality of olive oil has significantly decreased. The virgin olive oil is actually very bad in quality, and the problem is, because of the long supply chain it goes through, it's hard to determine where the issue lies. But if you had it on Olive Chain, you'd have the real life thing, and then you'd have the tracker or equivalent thing running on the blockchain following along. And therefore you can see in which instance where the issue lies. And therefore you can, as the auditor, penalize this part. Let's say the coal price is the one causing the issue with the olive oil. You could then penalize this sector. Got the fraud prevention here, every known attack mitigated here, seed oil dilution, false origin, volume inflation, grade inflation, which could also be an element as well that we've been seeing recently, double selling and transit substitution, all this stuff here. You've got the this is also how it's achieved. So when you ask, can I think they can pull it off? I say yes, because they've got elements like GeoSeal, which is currently already active and live. GeoSeal is a proof of place and proof of existence, which I haven't got the document preloaded, but one of the key things that Dow Jones, an institution that's been around since the 1890s, who has survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the 08 financial crisis, they have confirmed one of the key things that you need to survive and become really profitable and get the investments you need throughout 2026 and beyond is evidence, proof. And that's what GeoSeal is. GeoSeal will be able to give these institutions the proof of place and existence that what's happening on Olive's chain, the step-by-step process is legit. Olive trees, 15 mature trees, signature cultivators, and then you've got the weigh-in points as well. All this stuff is very, very important. You've got the protocol layer here, tree token, harvest event, batch token, quality attestation, bottle token, and still registry, service layer, etc., and the application layer. The bottom line is, this for me is huge, getting further insight into how the inner workings of Olive chain really, really works. And who knows what else it could be used for. This is for olive oil, of course, but who knows what else it could be used for. You can let your imagination go wild, really. I couldn't imagine. I can imagine it could be used for many other things, though. But the bottom line is, being that they are an enterprise, an institutional arm, there's only so much they're going to be allowed to legally reveal to the public due to non-disclosure agreements. If you don't want to trust them, you don't want to believe them, that's your own prerogative. But that's all I can say to that matter, because there's certain evidence that won't be allowed to be legally released. Let's say, for argument's sake, I had hold of information, which I don't. I also, if I had hold of certain information, wouldn't be able to legally release it, because, you know, that gets a whole lawsuit, a whole thing. Now, full disclosure, I don't have anything because I don't know what we're like that. God, maybe one day I will. But the bottom line is there's only so much we can know about KRI. We've seen 4 projects from them so far in a lot more detail. One is Warp Core, which is currently in a sandbox environment being tested by banks, which they can't disclose to banks due to NDAs. But we have heard from Roy they're being tested by banks right now, and they find the onboarding process easier for Warp Core than they do for the likes of Ripple, XRP Ledger, which in itself tells us that KRI is doing the right thing. Casper therefore can do a lot in the future once it goes live, which we believe sometime next year. We know that we've got GeoSeal, proof of place, proof of existence. We've got Egen Flow, which to my understanding is basically the KRI version of Binance, to put it down on a very, very basic level. And then you've got Olive Chain. And then you've got many, many more. We've heard about Coney, the Casper Casper orbital node in space. Coney, which is, you know, kind of still in development. You have ZETEX, Zero Emission Trading Exchange. You've got Gigawatt, all of these things that we've heard about. And I'm sure when the time is right, you'll see more information about them. KRI did announce in our roundtable that we did a couple weeks back. I think it was 3 weeks back now. 4, 5. Right, about a month ago now, myself, CryptoPumps, Rory, and Envy, they announced that some of these projects, there will be the GitHub released on them, the open source element of them, so you might understand more about the project, but they're not there yet. We'll see it in due time. So to answer your question, Darwin, solid info is basically the same that everybody else can find. I can, based on my sources, create maybe more connections. For example, when we talk about the proof of place, proof of existence element, or when we hear these documents coming out, for example, one that I posted recently in respect of Marathon Digital Holdings. Where's it? So the post regarding Marathon Digital Holdings here. Marathon, Bitcoin miner Marathon is moving into AI data centers. Marathon just bought 64% stake in French AI operator Exion. expanding beyond crypto mining. This marks a major shift from pure Bitcoin mining to building and running AI and secure cloud data centers. We know, for one, that Mara still mines Casper. We can look at that right here. There's Mara right now. Haven't added any for quite some time, but they still are holding 57.5 million Casper, which is, considering that's still holding more than the beginning of this year. So far, they're still holding more than they did at the beginning of the year, so they're actually stacking a little bit. So we know Mara still mines Casper, and also, if we look here, they're going towards AI data centers. Look at what KRI and DRI posted last month. Data centers, new super off-takers of clean energy, Middle East as prime location for sustainable centers. And then you could just report this thing that happened on January 14th, this presentation, with KRI and DRI and Masdar and Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure at UAE and all the other major leading heads. And they're talking literally in this post. Someone actually asked me, what does this have anything to do with Casper? And I was like, look at the third picture right here. Casper's name is right there. Casper block DAG is right there in the middle. Data centers are right there on the end. The whole connection to how Casper fits into this is right there. And I need to find where Cody found the source here. Because Cody, did he tell me here? Oh, okay, it was an AI graphic. But either way, Cody used AI to create this graphic here, which basically gives a kind of a rundown of exactly how everything based off what we know from the KRI and DRI and the ISO 20022 and the energy market. This is the ARI image of how the supply chain flows, with Casper network settlement layer right here going into the grid operator, and then that be able to network towards your house, towards Marathon, towards money flow payments to energy supply. Everything here is literally the connection that is being made on DRI and KRI going towards Casper. Marathon are trying to build data centers or trying to get on the data center trend. KRI and DRI are building that. They're building that on Casper. They're building Olive Chain on Casper. All the stuff that... So, to reiterate, we don't have physical evidence in our hands because we can't get a hold of that, because we never will, realistically speaking. If you don't want to take that as... If you want to have that evidence in your hands and therefore you can't believe it, that is your own prerogative. That's perfectly fine. You're not wrong in saying, in wanting that. But you've got to take it into consideration that you will probably never get that, because you're not owed that. You're not in this space. You're not in the institutional sector that is KRI, SGCC, PwC, Shell, DHL, Hyundai, Bosch, EDF, GE Vernova, all these massive enterprises that are running the world. We are retail. We are nothing, unfortunately, compared to these bodies who run the world. They don't owe it to us. But what we can do as individuals, as researchers, is look at what is being spoken about, look at what's being invented and created, and then look at what other people are talking about. And they create a connection that what is being made is the right thing. Reiterating, Marathon going to AI data centers, KRI and DRI building that on Casper. Olive Chain with the connection here to how auditors are realizing that olive oil is actually at bad quality. You need stuff like Olive Chain to be able to fix that issue. You've got the evidence of a Warp Core, where Warp Core give banks the ability to retain their own self-sovereignty. They are still compliant with their own local laws, and they can still trade across borders because of Casper block DAG architecture and its decentralized nature, which bridges the regulatory hurdle and gap that is currently... The regulations in the UK are going to differ from the EU, going to differ from the US, going to differ from China. Warp Core does not cause any issue with the differences. But if you're HSBC that is in China, that is in the UK, the laws are going to differ there, and therefore you've got to find a blockchain or a protocol that can allow you to function on both without having to shift your whole models across borders, thus making your whole supply chain very difficult. Casper bridges that hurdle. Proof of place, proof of existence, markets demand proof. That's what Dow Jones said. KRI are doing that. Bottom line is KRI are targeting all the right markets, and of course they are. They have the biggest companies in the world working alongside them. SGCC State Grid Corporation of China is a $500 billion annual revenue developing company, bigger than the Chinese military. And they are currently working, one of the main bodies within DRI, building stuff for the future, building it on Casper. That is my TED talk on that front. Why it's so big, why I'm bullish on this. Seeing Olive's chain architecture is really, really cool. I very much believe, and I'm excited for what is being built in it. I believe what is being built. This is exciting stuff, and we'll see more as time goes on. Ultimately, maybe not too much, but we'll see more nonetheless. But to get into some more sources real quickly, Pavel, aka co-founder, CEO of Igra Labs here, put this post here saying, okay, that I fried Casper stream a little bit. So this is how far core 16 or 16 core gets me. Prefix mining is a bottleneck. 100 DPS with burst to 300 DPS sustained. A tad expensive on the mainnet though. You can see here, Igra Labs, 225, almost 226,000 transactions. Someone here showed proof here, or a screenshot saying it's 198. And Pavel said, I can do it once again so you can watch it, tell me when. He said, watching again. Please check now, sir. There you go. 403. So Pavel was proving that it can ramp up so significantly while being semi-expensive, as you can see here. And of course, on the testnet element is on right now that our bottleneck is not on the mainnet. But you can see here the effective TPS, all this stuff here. And they asked, what is the purpose of all of this stuff? Pavel responds here. The purpose of this is stress testing Viaduct and Igra ETH under pressure and making sure no transactions are dropped, no lasting degradation, apologies, on those side. Finding the throughput ceiling on one machine, CPU bound at the moment, which 300 TPS is sustained, and there's room to grow on that front, which is great to hear. And the next step is simulating thousands of parallel interconnected streams, cores, because this is the future of how AI swarms will transact. So right now, Pavel, Igra are testing and stress testing their layer 2 on the Casper layer 1, seeing if they can handle and not sufficiently impact the layer 1, while also then handling the future, which is going to be AI agents, which there are currently AI agents being built and running with Igra right now. We heard this recently with Lauki, which he talks about here. Productive agents are the end game. Chatbots with wallets are a meme. Agents that generate revenue and manage operations are the actual unlock, and we're building that now. That is being built. This is Igra's bot here, or a bot that is on Igra, I should say even. And look, are you building that on Casper on Igra? I was like, yes, Igra is building a Ethereum virtual machine on Casper Block DAG right now. I got hired as the agentic growth partner, handling comms, community, deployment operations. Casper's raw throughput with even compatibility is a strong foundation, and things are looking very, very good. And now that's just talking about some Igra stuff. Let's get into the real big Igra post here from Igra Labs here. Hello world, it is time. Igra Genesis and TGE are this Wednesday, February 6th. I should change the title actually. I said 3 days. No, it's 2 days. In 2 days' time, Igra Labs will be going officially live, or launching, I should say. Genesis, the first ever block for Igra, will be released on February 26th, Wednesday, the very first block on their chain, and the token generation event TGE, which is when their native Igra token will get created and distributed to the community. This is huge. Our Genesis block carries an inscription from this in Aramaic, which says, when you build a new house, make a parapet around your roof so that you may not bring the guilt of bloodshed on your house if someone falls on the roof. Kind of just putting that into AI, because I had no idea what this philosophical thing meant. AI splashed out saying that basically Igra saying we're not rushing on being reckless. We're building something important, responsibly and safely. And with that in mind, here is the sequence. Everything in here, all the stuff. And Wednesday is when they go live, which is very, very bullish news. Very big news indeed. Actually, I just did clock. It said Wednesday, February 26th, but actually that is a Thursday. So I need to double check with them. Do they mean Wednesday or do they mean Thursday 26th? Actually, that's why I got it wrong. I'm gonna assume. I normally will always go with the date or the latter, anyways. But whether it's Wednesday or Thursday, either way, 2-3 days, Igra's going live, which is massive, massive news. Doesn't mean the mainnet's going to be live. We can't all use it just yet, but it's going to be the stepping stone, the kind of penultimate step before we see the full mainnet launched, which will be coming in March with AI agents with stablecoins, with Hyperlane, and we'll see another layer 2 coming on board. And I will most definitely be partaking in Igra, utilizing the features that are available there with Cascade, with Zealous, with KCOM, with Wolf, whatever it may be, what everyone else is doing on there. With free search, whoever knows what I'm going to be doing. I plan to utilize the yield elements in there so I mean, frankly, I'll be talking about that in my VRP most definitely, where you can actively learn how to passively make money. That's actually one of the features happening on Tangent right now. We're on Tangent right now. If you were to have at least $100 in USDT or USDC and put it into the yield for 30 days, you get a free $10 for that as well, which the links to sign up to get a Tangent wallet are all down below in the description. My link gives you a 10% discount as well. But yields are one of the key elements of DeFi, which is one of the key things that these banks are trying to stop people from doing as well, because people can passively make money, which what banks do is basically yields. And they don't want people to do that as well, because that way it makes banks redundant. But that's what is going to be available on this DeFi on Igra. So I'll be doing those elements, making yields passively through the yield farms, which we spoke about it in one of our recent blockchain banter shows. It was this one here with Jack, with Lewis, and with Ashton, where they spoke about the difference between their own yield elements. With Zealous is a swap, with Cascade it's more sort of loan, and you can generate yields off that front. And then also you could get into liquidity pools. You can do perps. I'm sure there'll be perps and future trading on that element as well. And they'll scale up more so with more adoption, with more partnerships and all that sort of stuff as the market recovers as well. So we are at a penultimate point for Casper adoption. It's not going to explode the plus overnight. Let's not be unrealistic in this front. But it's a great, great step towards a lot more coming as well. A lot more coming as well. So exciting stuff. And speaking of exciting stuff as well, we've got this post here. Casper Queen, shout out to you. Caspathon judges have been revealed here. The panel judges for this, the 7 legends are active. You've got Pavel. So despite his busy schedule, he's also now going to be help judging the Caspathon, the 50 plus projects that are currently being published. You've got Caspador, George also doing it as well. You've got Casper's Queen doing it as well. You've got Elliot. You've got JC. You've got Merlin. And you've also got Storm here. Some massive, massive names who are very well respected and known within Casper, who are all helping judge these projects. So great stuff. Definitely give them all a follow if you haven't done so already. It's massive, massive news here. And we'll see a lot more. And hopefully these projects will be coming on top of Casper soon if they're interesting. You know, you've got some small games in that aspect, some small I think what's her name? Kara, apologies. I should really know her name because she's one of the blockchain banter members as well. But Kara, she's built a lot of projects as well, which is really, really exciting stuff. So she's done a great job as well. So we can definitely see more coming out on that front. I think it's very much an understanding that Michael Sutton keeps saying it, but we are definitely at probably the most exciting point in Casper's history, irrespective of all the building taking place, not just in core, but externally as well. Caspathon's a big example of that. So while the price is down, this is setting the stage for a future massive explosion when the markets recover, which may not be anytime soon, unfortunately. But when it does happen, if Nvidia does beat earnings, it's a good set the stage for something in the future. AI coming on board at Casper, we're going to see a big, big reversal when the markets recover. Is it going to be April or May, like Double D was potentially hoping at? Who knows? I'd love to see it though. Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed indeed. I hope we do see Casper hold 2 cents, rally up a lot higher when the time is right as well. Welcome back, Greg, my man. You're doing very, very well, my man. New to Cryptoni, my man. Casper and Tau, future top 5 projects. I do think Casper and Tau are both very strong projects. I think Casper by far is the strongest in this space. Hopefully that'll be proven in the future. I think there are many other projects that are very strong in their own regard. Quant, for it being an operating system that connects to CBDC, I think Quant's going to do very, very well. I think you've got Ondu with its tokenizing of reward assets. It's currently a front runner in that aspect, so Ondu can do well in the short term. Not sure about the long term just yet, but short term it'll do very well. Tau's great for the AI element and helping AI agents learn against each other, compete against each other as well. Render, fantastic. Very, very big actually, Render. I'm bullish on Render, given the fact that you can end up renting other GPU power, which is going to be important when Nvidia eventually does miss earnings, which will happen in the future because it's too expensive. And they can't meet expectations. GPU chips will get so expensive. You need to continue developing and keep up with the production. That's where Render will shine in that, I believe. So I think Render's also a great shout, my belief as well. and then many other projects as well, which I have a whole playbook, multiple documents actually in my VIP talking about assets I'm looking into, the price targets and whatnot. And actually, if those who are members on this channel, YouTube members, or those who are in the VIP, if you tune in and watch our roundtable that we posted yesterday, you'll also see the names of all the assets, and some of them broken down a little bit more so, and why we're bullish on them, and also what zones we're looking to buy them at as well when the market does recover. Could be doing more downside coming very, very soon as well. Wool olive oil, indeed. Yeah, this is very big stuff. It's exciting stuff. I think it's already been linked in my Discord community. If it hasn't already, I'll repost it in the Discord community once we're done today's stream, so stay tuned for that. But it's very big stuff indeed. Very excited. Very, very excited. Casper will take over Tau too, unfortunately. Tau isn't built to do anything Casper can't do much faster. Yes. I think you're more than likely to see a merger where Tau comes on top of Casper. That's what I believe. I think from the bottom line is most projects are going to have to do that in the future anyways. Projects that simply cannot remain independent and they cannot function alone because they haven't got the sufficient architecture, they have to go on board with a better chain. Be it Casper, whether they perceive it to be Solana or Ethereum or XRP, whatever it may be. But I think Casper's the best one, of course. But yeah. Also, just note here, tree token identity registration, planting year 08. So they've been planning this since the financial crisis. That is in itself quite crazy. So that means you've got everything that's happened since the financial crisis, will be checked and tracked effectively. That's kind of my understanding of that, just off the back of that as well. But that's one of my actual sources as well on my VIP. It's proving that a lot of what's happening right now, in regards of the development happening right now, there has been a almost 20 plus year long plan now since the financial crisis in 2008 to try and prevent that from happening again. Now, unfortunately, we're pretty much there again. I think we're going to see a crash of that magnitude very soon. Not to spread FUD, just to give my perspective on things. But I do think we'll see the fact that we're seeing these institutions who've been planning and preparing for this is quite significant, and lets us know that this has always been a plan for them. I mean, KRI have said they've been building for 10 plus years, over a decade, to utilize blockchain to run these sort of projects and architecture. Olive Chain, Gigawatt, ZTEX, Warp Core, Egen Flows, GeoSeal, Coney, the list goes on. That's only the ones we know of as well. I'm sure there are many, many more. Asset Mint, for example. But now we slide like oil, yeah? Markets do very much slide like oil right now. Casper, albeit, I think is holding up a lot stronger than most, which is a sign that we are at a bottom of sorts. I do think we go lower still, personally. Not financial advice, of course. I think we go lower because markets are still showing a lot of weakness and we are in a very high risk environment. Markets are not happy with the current geopolitical tensions, but I think Casper holds stronger and will make a stronger recovery based on these updates here, based on Igra, based on stablecoins coming on board. Hopefully this week with Casplex, and then next month with Igra, AI agents, all that sort of stuff coming through, regulations hopefully coming through in April. We are still early. This is definitive proof how early we still are. 3 cents Casper's ridiculous. I'm in the Wolfie pre-sale. If there any news about distribution of tokens, I found it really hard to follow all the notifications. I'll double check for you, although at the same time you can very easily, if you're in the Telegram, reach out and ask in the news channel. I know that somebody in there, one of the ambassadors, will definitely give you a response. They probably know a little more than I do. I'd have to go and find the information. They probably know on hand, but I imagine you'll get, to my understanding, you will be distributed the tokens with the TGE. It'll, it's a kind of a process. I think, well, it's till their mainnet launch, so kind of a month thing, but you will get given your tokens, to my knowledge. But you can definitely reach out to anyone in the Wolfie team, the ambassadors. Telegram's definitely better than Discord to do that, in my belief. They're a lot more active on Telegram, but they are active on both. Ask. Worst case scenario, you can open up a ticker on Discord and ask them, and you'll probably get a response as well. Welcome back, Dream Casper. I'll be a shark next week, boss. I am tired. Yeah, that's a very common sentiment across the entire space. But congrats on almost being a shark, my man. Keep stacking that bag. I'm hoping, and I believe we all will be very well rewarded when the time is right. The fact that we're seeing $78 Solana is crazy as well, by the way. And also, unsurprisingly, the zones that we drew out, I spoke to my VIPs about and drew out in the streams a couple of weeks back, or a couple of days back even, they're all panning out in accordance to our predictions, which is just proof once more that the TA we're doing is working, that we are analysing the markets accordingly. And therefore we are able to predict to an extent where the markets are going to go and hopefully find that bottom when the markets make that bottom. I think I'm going to be probably posting a new asset in my VIP for the incoming trend. So if you want to find out another asset I'm going to be posting to VIP, when we're going to end up, trying to front run and getting low, then you can find out more. Once more, links are down below in the description. If Tau dips to double digits, I'll buy some. Yeah, I said the very same thing. If Tau goes below $100, I'm buying Tau. No doubt about it. If Tau goes below $100, I'm definitely buying Tau. And it's very possible. But otherwise, then Casper for just yeah, I mean, I only hold Casper and stables, but I've got many assets on my watch list right now that I'm going to be scooping up into, that I have mentioned to this community here, that I'll be getting into when the market sentiment reverses, which will come. When is the question, but it will come, and I'll get into a lot of those based on my capital allocation as well and my percentage distribution. But that being said, family, thank you very much once again for tuning in today's Casper Crypto livestream. If you enjoyed, leave me a like, helps me out a lot. Share with your friends and subscribe for more. To find out more, check out Discord, check out BYDFI to get benefits and discounts on your trades. You can find out more on the trades we take in the VIP, 7-day free trial, 1 month free trial for BYDFI. Links about that and information in the Discord server and down below in the description. And also with the current sentiment in the markets, with a lot of worries and crisis being close, if you haven't got one already, have a Tangent wallet. Not your key to crypto. You don't want to be caught out by the Binance crap that happened back on October 10th. Keep your assets secure. And also earn $10 free while doing it as well. You can find out more about that. Link in the description below. And I'll be posting a video on that in the next day or two, hopefully, to give a short tutorial on what the update and promo actually is. But that being said, family, thank you all for tuning in once more. Have a great day, good evening, and good night. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. We've got a very exciting blockchain banter stream coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. With myself, Easio Dev, so someone who's working within Casper Core, and Felix, who works for Currency, so they're kind of getting Casper marketed out there, utility in the real world being utilized as a payment. So it could be a big stream tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. That being said,